Hi, it's Terry Gaines. I'm going to give you some assembly tips on a card made with the timeless Tulip Stamp Set and the Tulip Builder Punch. They work very well together, and you're going to love this stamp set for the variety of sentiments it has in it. From happy birthday, get well soon, Mother's Day, Easter, and a hello. So it's absolutely a wonderful stamp set with great sentiments in it. So I'm going to start out by stamping on a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. I'm going to use Granny Apple Green ink for this stamp, for this project, and I've already put all the stamps on the clear mount or the clear blocks, and I'm just going to tap, tap, tap real lightly. I have a piercing mat on the bottom, then I have a piece of the grid paper from the grid pad you can purchase that works well with the Stamparatus, and I'm going to stamp this first stamp that is the branch or the stem that's more of a straighter image off a little bit to the right of that paper. Then I'm going to take the stem that is angled and just going to tap, tap, tap onto the ink. You don't want to push very hard because you can get ink into the crevice. You just want it on surface. When you have the ink on the ink block like that, I like taking my chamois and I cut it into smaller pieces, then I can just wipe that off. It's really easily to tilt that a little bit and get that on your project. And then I'm going to, this one appears to be correct going that way, but I'm going to turn it this way because I want the branch or the stem to go off a little bit to the left, and then I'm going to stamp that. I am not being too concerned about how far up I go on that stem because I'm going to cover that with the tulip itself. Then I've taken 2 of the leaf images and put those onto the clear blocks, and I'm going to start out with this one and ink this, and I'm going to put a leaf on this side. And what's nice about the clear blocks and the photopolymer stamps, you can see fairly easily where you're going to be stamping that image. Then I'm going to put another leaf up here, and there is no exact placement on these, and it is beautiful wherever you place those. So there I have my stems and leaves punched or stamped. My videos are unedited. They do contain bloopers, misspoken words. So there we've got that part stamped. Now what I'm going to do is adhere this to a crushed curry cardstock that is cut at, this one is cut at 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. So this is 1/8 larger, just to give it a little bit of a border around that layer. The next layer I'm going to assemble is Granny Apple Green cardstock. I've cut this 2 by 5, and I took one of the dies from the Ornate Frame dies and ran this through a die cutting machine to cut it out. Isn't that beautiful? A beautiful laced image. What I'm going to do is actually adhere this to just the one side of my layer here. I'm going to layer it on the left side. So I've applied adhesive just on the left side. Going to line that up and just adhere it right to that edge like so. This is then going to be layered on my card base. My card base is Daffodil Delight, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I just noticed that's an error here. I'll fix that on my blog and my PDF that you can download. This is going to be layered onto the card front. I actually love adding some texture to my card base by using the subtle folder. It's a 3D folder that just adds a subtle background to your cardstock. I really like adding that. And then you can put this directly down with your adhesive, but I'm going to add a little bit of dimension to this and apply some dimensionals. This will just give it a little bit of a dimension. As long as you keep your card thinner than 1/4 inch in the envelope, it will not be extra postage unless the weight exceeds. So a layer of dimensionals will be fine. And I'm going to peel the backings off and then this gets applied. Right, I'm going to just place this, kind of center it right on the card. So that's that portion of the card. The next thing I'm going to do is add the tulips. I've pre-stamped these in the daffodil on a scrap piece of cardstock, and I can take the punch. So the tip with this is when you stamp your tulips in a row, always start with the one on the left side, because if you start on any of the other ones, you could be punching those out. This image could be punching out your tulip image. So what I like to do is turn this upside down, line up to get even borders all the way around, and punch out my tulips. I actually need 2 of them for this card front, so I'll go ahead and do that for 2 of them. And there we go. That wasn't quite as exact as I wanted it, but actually it turned out pretty good. Oh, and what I want to do here is I'm going to add these with dimensionals. So it's going to add a little bit more depth to the card. But with this card, I just want to pop these up. I'm going to use three dimensionals on each tulip. And then we'll take off the backings. And then, as I mentioned, when I stamped those stems, I wasn't worried about how high, because now what I can do is just decide where I want to place the tulip. And as long as it's on the stem, you're okay. And you can cover as much of that stem up as you would like. So you can just look at how you want to place this tulip. And there we go. So that's so far. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take the 5/8 inch polka dot ribbon, and this comes in Whisper White, and make a bow. And I think it's approximately 11 or 12 inches you're going to use on making a bow. I like to leave my ribbon on the spool and then make my bow with that. So then I'm going to kind of keep it a kind of a bigger bow and use a mini glue dot to attach that. So we'll just take the bow, bring it right to a mini glue dot, and then take that. And here's where I would advise you to, wherever you feel that you want to camouflage any imperfections down in that area, is where you would put the bow. And no right or wrong on your placement. The last piece on the card front is adding a little sentiment. So I've stamped ahead of time a little hello. I'm going to take the classic label punch and punch this out, just centering it right on the sentiment. Then I'm going to take my paper snips and cut straight in from that point towards the sentiment, and then make a little angle on each end to create a little banner. And then what I'm going to do is take a couple mini glue dots. You want more than one. One would swivel, 2 will give you some support where you place it. And I'm just going to tuck that in, and you can decide if you want it to go in straight, come straight out, or you want to go a little bit on an angle. I'm going to go on a little bit on an angle because I want it to stay within that area so it fits into an envelope. And the last thing is to put your inside portion of your card. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. I've stamped the stem in a couple leaves. I'm going to use the snail adhesive, apply this to the inside. I always look at the top and bottom and the side and go for even border on those 3. And then that should fall into place. And the last is to put snail on a 3rd tulip and add that for the inside of your card. I hope you enjoyed this card. If you found me via YouTube, look in the comments section for a direct link to my blog post, where you'll find the supply list, measurements, and instructions for this project. There'll be a PDF tutorial you can download. Would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box under the video. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed creating this project with me. Stay safe and stay healthy.